A cartoon character cannot be captured, but a narco-terrorist can. That is what United States Attorney Adam Gordon said this week about a man who built one of the most violent enforcement wings inside the Sinaloa Cartel and named it after a children's television show. His real name is Carlos Paez Pereda. His street name is Carlitos Rugrats. And on July 7, 2026, the Southern District of California unsealed a federal indictment that exposes exactly who this man is, how he rose through the ranks of Mexico's most dangerous cartel, and why the FBI just added him to its most wanted list with a warrant that has been active since March. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how a 30-year-old from a small town in Sinaloa became a lieutenant commanding fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine routes stretching from the mountains of Mexico straight into Southern California. We are going to show you the 7 federal charges he is facing right now, each one carrying a life sentence. We are going to break down the blood war inside the Sinaloa Cartel that made his rise possible, a war between 2 factions that has left bodies on both sides of the border. We are going to show you the photos federal prosecutors pulled directly from his own social media, drugs, cash, and gold-plated handguns, the evidence he posted himself. And we are going to explain exactly why the number 500,000 should terrify every American community these drugs were headed toward. Stay until the end, because the connection between this man and another cartel boss already on America's most wanted list changes the entire picture. Let us start with who Carlitos Rugrats really is. Carlos Alberto Paez Pereda was born September 27, 1995, in Laguna Colorada, Sinaloa, Mexico. 5'7", 160 pounds, black hair, brown eyes, a crown tattooed on his right arm, and a tree tattooed across his back. According to the FBI, he is considered armed and dangerous. According to federal prosecutors, he built his reputation as a killer long before he built his reputation as a trafficker. Court documents identify Paez as a high-ranking lieutenant and the leader of a violent wing of the Sinaloa Cartel known as Los Rugrats, a name pulled straight from the American cartoon he apparently grew up watching. But there is nothing childish about what prosecutors say this organization has done. Los Rugrats operates for the faction of the Sinaloa Cartel controlled by Ismael El Mayo Zambada, the man who co-founded the cartel alongside Joaquin El Chapo Guzman decades ago. And according to the indictment, Paez did not just move drugs for that faction. He managed a prolific manufacturing and distribution network for methamphetamine, fentanyl, and cocaine, and he controlled a portion of the cartel's transportation operations, running from Sinaloa to Tijuana and the surrounding municipalities, the exact pipeline that feeds directly into the United States. Over the past decade, federal prosecutors say Paez imported tens of thousands of kilograms of methamphetamine, fentanyl, and cocaine into the United States. Tens of thousands of kilograms, not grams, not pounds, kilograms by the tens of thousands, moving through Southern California and beyond. To understand what that actually means, consider this. The DEA estimates that 1 single kilogram of fentanyl contains approximately 500,000 potentially lethal doses. Federal prosecutors are not describing a man who sold drugs on a street corner. They are describing a man whose organization allegedly moved enough fentanyl through the Tijuana corridor to kill the population of entire American cities many times over, and every kilogram generated cash that had to disappear. Prosecutors say Paez laundered hundreds of millions of dollars in drug proceeds back through the cartel's financial networks, cash that flowed south to fund weapons, fighters, and the war chest of an organization the United States government now legally classifies as a terrorist group. That is why the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control designated him a drug kingpin in September of 2025, a designation that makes it a federal crime for any American bank, business, or individual to knowingly deal with his network in any way. Drop a comment below if you had ever heard the name Carlitos Rugrats before this video. Let me know. But the drugs and the money are only half of what federal prosecutors say this man built. The other half is blood. According to the indictment, Paez enforced the Sinaloa Cartel's operations in Sinaloa and Tijuana through murder, kidnappings, and other violent activity, commanding a group of armed fighters and hitmen under his direct control. This is not an allegation about a man who simply moved product. This is an allegation about a man who built an army, and that army did not exist in a vacuum. It exists because of a war that started with the single most explosive betrayal in the recent history of the Sinaloa Cartel. On September 9, 2024, Ismael El Mayo Zambada boarded a small plane he believed was taking him to a meeting to resolve a local dispute. Instead, according to American authorities, he was flown directly into United States custody and arrested the moment he landed in El Paso, Texas. Zambada has said publicly he was kidnapped and delivered to federal agents by Joaquin Guzman Lopez, the son of his former partner El Chapo. Whatever the true circumstances, one thing is certain. The Sinaloa Cartel's co-founder was suddenly gone, and the organization he had run for decades erupted into civil war. His faction, known as Los Mayos, turned its guns on Los Chapitos, the faction controlled by El Chapo's sons, and the fighting has not stopped since. Two factions of the same cartel tearing through Sinaloa, leaving bodies in the streets of Culiacan and beyond. Federal prosecutors say this is exactly the conflict that Carlitos Rugrats fought in, and it is exactly the conflict that made him more powerful. According to the indictment, Paez assisted the Los Mayos faction during this ongoing bloody war, providing fighters, weapons, logistics, and money to keep the fight against Los Chapitos alive. The Treasury Department has gone further, linking him to assassinations and assassination attempts against rival cartel members, allegedly carried out under the direct orders of another Sinaloa boss you may already know. That boss is Rene Arzate Garcia, known as La Rana, the Tijuana Plaza boss. Federal prosecutors charged with narcoterrorism earlier this year, a man the State Department is currently offering $5 million to capture. Federal officials now believe Carlitos Rugrats operated as La Rana's lieutenant, which means the network moving drugs through the Tijuana border crossing, the network flooding Southern California with product, all connects back through the same chain of command, and Carlitos Rugrats was a critical link inside it. One cartel, two indictments, one command structure. The United States government is now dismantling piece by piece. If you think one cartel war explains everything happening at the southern border right now, type yes in the comments. Stay with me because what happens next explains why the United States government moved when it did and why it took this long to make the charges public. President Trump's executive order 14,157 designated the Sinaloa Cartel a foreign terrorist organization on February 20th, 2025. That single designation changed everything about how prosecutors could charge men like Paez. Before that order, moving fentanyl across the border was a drug trafficking case. After that order, moving fentanyl for the Sinaloa Cartel became an act of terrorism under United States law, and every transaction, every shipment, every dollar laundered became evidence of material support for a designated terrorist organization. That is exactly what happened here. A federal grand jury in the Southern District of California returned a sealed indictment against Paez on March 27, 2026. Federal agents held it, built the case, and waited, gathering evidence and mapping the network before making a single name public. Then on July 7th, prosecutors unsealed all 7 counts at once. Narcoterrorism, carrying a mandatory minimum of 20 years and up to life in prison with a $20 million fine. Providing material support to terrorism, up to 20 years and a $250,000 fine. Continuing criminal enterprise, life in prison with a mandatory minimum of 20 years. International conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, up to life with a mandatory minimum of 10 years. Conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, the same mandatory minimum. Conspiracy to import controlled substances, life in prison, and money laundering conspiracy, up to 20 years, and a fine of either $500,000 or twice the value of everything he laundered, whichever number is larger. 7 federal charges. Every single one built to keep Carlitos Rugrats in an American prison for the rest of his life. if he is ever caught. FBI Special Agent in Charge. Mark Remley did not soften the language when the indictment went public. Los Rugrats has fueled brutal violence in Mexico that reaches into the United States, along with a relentless flow of deadly drugs into American communities. DEA Special Agent in Charge. James Nunnally went further, saying Paez's organization relied on murder, kidnapping, and armed enforcers to maintain power and keep the drugs flowing into communities across the country. Homeland Security Investigations Acting Special Agent in Charge. Kevin Murphy added that this indictment highlights the strength of the Homeland Security Task Force and that HSI will keep working with federal, state, and local partners until the cartels are dismantled. And then there was U.S. Attorney Adam Gordon, who delivered the line that is now attached to every headline about this case: "You cannot capture a cartoon character, but you can capture a narco-terrorist." A direct shot at the name Paez chose for his own criminal organization, and a signal that federal prosecutors intend to make an example out of him. Here is what makes this indictment different from a typical cartel case. Federal prosecutors did not just build their charges on informants and wiretaps. They built part of their case on Paez's own social media. Court documents include photographs pulled directly from accounts connected to him, images showing stacks of narcotics, piles of cash, and gold-plated handguns laid out like trophies. A man running a narco-terrorism network was posting the evidence of that network online for anyone to see. And weeks before the indictment went public, an unverified video began circulating showing a man matching Paez's description carrying a handgun openly inside a public establishment in Mexico. Federal investigators have not confirmed the video is authentic, but if it is him, it means a man now facing life in federal prison was moving freely in public just weeks before the United States government made his identity known to the entire world. Share this video because most Americans have never heard the name Carlitos Rugrats, and right now he is sitting on the FBI Most Wanted list with an active federal warrant and nobody in custody. This case did not happen in isolation. It is part of Operation Take Back America, the nationwide initiative that marshals the full resources of the Department of Justice against cartel infrastructure operating inside American borders. The Homeland Security Task Force behind this indictment was created under Executive Order 14,159, a whole-of-government effort built specifically to identify, investigate, and prosecute cartels, transnational criminal organizations, and human smuggling networks wherever they operate. This is the same task force framework that produced the narco-terrorism indictment against Rana. It is the same framework targeting cartel command structures instead of street-level dealers. And Carlitos Rugrats is now one more name added to a growing list of Sinaloa Cartel leadership facing life sentences under a legal framework that simply did not exist before last year. Here is exactly where things stand right now. Carlos Paez Pereda remains a fugitive, believed to be living in or around Laguna Colorado, Sinaloa, protected by the same cartel infrastructure he helped to build. The FBI has classified him as armed and dangerous and is asking anyone with information on his location to contact their local field office, an embassy, or a U.S. consulate with the option to report anonymously. He has not been arrested. He has not appeared in an American courtroom. The 7 charges against him: narco-terrorism, material support for terrorism, continuing criminal enterprise, international conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, conspiracy to import controlled substances, and money laundering all remain pending against a man the United States government cannot currently locate. His alleged commander, Rene Arzate Garcia Rana, also remains at large with a $5 million bounty on his head. And the war between Los Mayos and Los Chapitos that fueled Carlitos Rugrats' rise inside the cartel is still active in Sinaloa right now, with no end in sight. This is what Operation Take Back America was built to expose. Not a single arrest, a chain of command, a Tijuana Plaza boss with a $5 million reward. A lieutenant named after a cartoon show running fighters, weapons, and fentanyl through the same border corridor. Tens of thousands of kilograms of drugs, enough fentanyl alone to represent hundreds of millions of lethal doses. Hundreds of millions of dollars laundered. And a cartel war triggered by one betrayal on a small plane in September of 2024 that made all of it possible. The United States government has now put a face, a name, and 7 federal charges on one piece of that chain. The rest of it is still out there. If you want to know the moment federal agents finally catch up with Carlitos Rugrats, and whether his connection to Rana leads investigators higher up the Sinaloa Cartel's command structure, subscribe. We are tracking every development in this case as it happens. If this gave you the full picture of who Carlitos Rugrats really is, you know what to do.